What's up, YouTube? This your boy God Body B. I don't know. Like I said in the last video, like I don't know if I'm going through a DNA upgrade or what, but like I just been, or because of the Lionsgate, I just been like really, really tired and sleepy. All I've been wanting to do is sleep. But we're gonna try to get through this video. I mean, I feel like I done woke myself up, got up, brushed my teeth, threw water on my face, whatever, the normal stuff that people do to wake all the way up. But this is Divine Masculine doesn't know who he is. Because, let me bring this up. So I don't remember which video. It might have been a Neutron video. We've been talking about, the separation of masculine and feminine energy, or the electron and proton, and then, the neutron, with the formation of the neutron. So it had to be a neutron video. But here we go. All right, ignorance is the lack of knowledge. Is the lack of knowledge, education, or awareness. I've stated throughout this channel that I was involved in a car accident where I acquired several injuries. A hole was drilled in my skull. So let me show y'all. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I had a hole. No, I said skull. My bad. I actually have a kilo right here where a hole was drilled in my skull to relieve pressure from injuring my brain due to the impact of two vehicles. So a lot of times when I used to go to the barbershop, like they would kind of be careful in this area. I mean, hair grows over it or whatever, but they would still be careful in this area because I got like a little kilo that formed right here from, I guess, when the hole closed or whatever. But so a hole was drilled in my skull to relieve pressure from injuring my brain due to the impact of two vehicles. This injury created memory loss, short and long term. So it was really like all my short term memory was completely gone. But like the injury was so bad that it affected my long term memory as well. So a lot of that was gone as well too, but not all of it, but a bunch of it was. But all of my short term memory was completely gone. Okay. So, cause I actually had, at the time when I got my car accident, I had a little girl she was only 2 months when I got my accident. So I didn't know. I was actually, when I was in the hospital, when I was in rehab or rehabilitation center, my mom came to actually see me, and we were just, when I could talk a little bit, we was talking, and I forgot what we was talking about, but she just happened to say, your little girl. And, I was just like, I got a little girl? She was like, yeah. And then they brought her picture up to where I was so I could see what she looked like. She looked like me. And then they actually brought her up to where I was. And, it made me feel some type of way because I couldn't hold her. That's how weak I was. And, I couldn't walk. I couldn't, do a lot of stuff. But anyway. So I've stated throughout this challenge that I was involved in a car accident where I acquired several injuries. A hole was drilled in my skull to relieve pressure from injuring my brain due to the impact of two vehicles. This injury created memory loss, short and long term. I had a pterygium on my left eye. I had a pterygium on my left eye, which is a scar-like growth that develops on the conjunctiva, which is pretty much the mucous membrane of the eye. And, that scar-like growth grew through the conjunctiva onto the surface of the cornea, or, the cornea of my eye. It usually grows from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. So this scar was going straight across my eyeball. This scar was on my right eye, on my left eye. And the only way I could heal it was keeping my left eye closed. It took me months to master this, but I finally did. So even to this day, I still have a habit of holding my left eye closed because I had to do it for so long. You know, I had to master it and constantly teach myself like to keep that eye closed. So I still have found myself doing it, you know, every now and then that always make me laugh. And you know, of course, like once I injured my brain then my left eye went through what it went through, my eyesight was a whole lot worse. I had to get glasses before my car accident, but I didn't want them, so I didn't go back. But then, of course, when I got my car accident, like my eyesight was a whole lot worse than what it was before. So I didn't have a choice but to get glasses. All right. What was we at? Okay, so I also had a tracheostomy. That's what I was pointing at earlier, right here, if y'all can see that scar. I don't know if y'all can see that scar right here on my neck. But I had a tracheostomy, which is a hole surgeons make through the front of the neck and to the windpipe. A tube is then placed into the hole to keep it open for breathing. This process is usually done to deliver oxygen to the lungs if you're unable to breathe normally after an injury or accident or because your muscles are very weak. So like, you know, life support. So I dealt with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is a condition which the lungs become scarred and breathing becomes increasingly difficult. So I actually got a scar here as well. I can't take my shirt off, and I could, but I probably would get flagged by YouTube or something. But a scar is here. One of my because one of my lungs, or obviously it might have been this lung, was actually under my heart. I mean, behind my heart. One of my lungs was out of place due to the impact of the vehicles. I also had a laparotomy, which is an open abdominal surgery. So I actually have a scar here as well too, which is what I'm getting ready to talk about now. In this area, I had broken ribs. I received a feeding tube in my stomach, which I got a scar here where I had a feeding tube because I couldn't eat regular food. And I had a hole in my diaphragm. This surgery stayed open for 2 weeks because my insides began to swell up and patience was needed until swelling went down to close the incision. So if you would have came to the hospital to see me during this time, I was still in a coma, but you would have saw all my insides because they had to wait for the swelling to go down. So it was just a clear covering over this area or whatever. And they was waiting on the swelling to go down so they can close me back up. And I'm able to tell y'all this because these were stories that was being constantly given to me when I finally woke up. They had to repeat or tell me everything that I went through every day because I dealt with, you know, a brain injury or whatever. So I couldn't retain information. And I stated in another earlier video that, you know, when I got back in school, it was pretty, I love school. I've always loved learning, but school was very hard for me when I got back in because I couldn't retain information. And it's not because I couldn't learn, but I could learn. I just couldn't remember what it was that I was learning. And I kept having I had to repeat a lot of classes, but I finally graduated. And I had better grades than a lot of people. But so this surgery stayed open for 2 weeks because my insides began to swell up and patience was needed until swelling went down to close the incision. I also had a broken spine and pelvic bone on the same side with the broken ribs. Metal was used for the healing of the spine and pelvic. I told y'all in an earlier video I couldn't walk or talk. This person with all these injuries is the person I woke up to after a month in a coma, a complete stranger. People with the life path number 11 are spiritually enlightened people who have access to divine wisdom well beyond that of ordinary mortals. For many people, they serve as a source of inspiration. They are people who are often mistaken in life and must face the world's wrath. So like I told y'all before, like I'm a personal trainer, or whatever. So I was training a lot of people. I was inspiring a lot of people. I was healing a lot of people. Like I was training people that were like, because when I started back in the gym, I was in a wheelchair or whatever. So when I got out of the hospital, I was barely 100 pounds or whatever. But I'm gonna say, of course, once I found out I had a little girl, that changed my energy completely. So I'm gonna say 6 or 7 months after I got out of the hospital, like, cause I was so eager to get back to where I was once my memory started coming back a little bit by a little bit. You know, and just the motivation from knowing I got a daughter that's looking up to me. And the gym I grew up in, the owner gave me a free membership for a whole year so I can get myself back right. I'm gonna say 6 to 7 months after I got to the hospital. Like I said, I was barely 100 pounds. I was back up to 200 pounds, like muscle, like bro, I looked good, and everybody was wanting to work out with me. But anyway, so let's read that over. So people with the light path number 11 are spiritually enlightened, people who have access to divine wisdom well beyond that of ordinary mortals. For many people, they serve as a source of inspiration. There are people who are often mistaken in life and must face the world's wrath. I brought this up because I am at Light Path 11, and in the year 2009, which is 11, I started receiving messages from 2 different entities. One was spirit, and the other was a group of people who hacked my emails, school email included. So let me say this. So at the time, I didn't know what the dark web was, so I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I was going through what I was going through. But they were able to hack all my things because my information was pretty much placed on the dark web. I don't know why, but my information was placed on the dark web. And once your information is on the dark web, then your life is pretty much compromised. All your things are pretty much compromised, or your personal life, or whatever. And but yeah, that's how they were able to hack all my anything that was connected to the internet and that was connected to me, and people that were connected to me as well. But let's read it over. So one was spirit, and the other was a group of people who had my emails, school email included, my phones, and anything electronic connected to me or connected to the internet. Whoever these people were, they made it a goal to harass me and watch me and everyone that was connected to me. Because like they would like contact me through my school emails. They would contact me through my personal emails. They was harassing me, sending me messages and constantly calling my phone, sending me text messages to my phone, and sending text messages to people that was connected to me, making it seem like it was me. So they made it a goal to harass me and watch me and everyone that was connected to me. They tried to put fear in me by breaking into my home, by making or getting copies of keys to my car and my home. So they was doing that, but then at the same time, I kind of get why they was doing that or whatever, and I feel like, in a sense, it was spirit telling people to do it because, like, my stuff was like slowly becoming missing. Like stuff, like little by little, stuff was becoming missing. But then once I actually like finally moved, because they kept telling me to move, spirit kept telling me to move. Once I finally moved, or whatever, and got my new apartment, then magically, like, the stuff that was missing appeared back at my house one day. But if I got a new phone, they would hack it, and depending on how close I was to someone, they would destroy that relationship by messaging the person from my number to make it seem like it was me. So they wouldn't message them directly from my phone, but like they were messaging people under the disguise of my number to make it seem like it was me, if y'all get what I mean. So I felt like Will Smith, an enemy of the state, and this harassment went on until maybe 2020 or 2021. I think it's still kind of going on, just not as directly as it was or whatever, because the stuff still recently just got missing. We're not gonna get deep into that, but I think it's still going on. There was even times where they would come in my home while I was asleep. Concerning spirit, contact was always made through a repetition of specific numbers, words, and colors. There was two messages that always stood out the most for me, and that was, you don't even know who you are, who you really are, and the world is waiting on you. You know, just being, and around the time when I first started seeing these messages, I think I was 20 or 21 maybe. And like, I'm young, I'm trying to like come up out of my accident, I'm back in school, like, you know, I'm in school, I'm just trying to focus on healing, and constantly see those messages over and over, it was kind of like overwhelming. But there was two messages that always stood out the most for me, and that was, you don't even know who you really are, and the world is waiting on you. I've got messages that my ancestors and spirit team were comparing me to Joseph in the Bible. Whenever I got around a particular female, I would start seeing a bunch of things about Egypt and Isis and Osiris. When I first started doing these videos, I started seeing a bunch of things about the Anunnaki. The point that I'm making is that I think I was someone powerful in a past life, and I think that power came with me to this life. And I plan on doing everything I possibly can to, you know, to step into that power. And I think, you know, me creating these videos and kind of putting myself out there and my story or my experiences, you know, gonna help with that. But that's pretty much it for this video, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.